I find it very refreshing that, apart from the live-action remake for Lilo and Stitch, Disney is focusing their marketing on celebrating the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie, back when they still had their dignity during the Disney Renaissance period. I'm glad they're focusing on that more so than promoting their live-action Snow White remake, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. A movie made from so much spite that they literally tried to re-release it on the American Mother's Day and it still failed. Vas, could you go over that definition of insanity thing, please, again?
Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again. Expect change. That is crazy.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, Goofy movie.
We made it! Come on, Max, let's get you on stage.
Maybe this isn't such a good idea.
30 years ago, during the 90s, yeah, this movie really showcases that it was made in the 90s. We got a Goofy movie. Now, what a lot of you probably won't know is that this isn't just a movie about Goofy, which is very strange to say, but hear me out. This isn't just a movie about Goofy. This is a movie that's based on the 90s Disney afternoon show, Goof Troop. Many children in the 90s, especially those living in America, will have a lot of nostalgic memories of the Disney Channel, which premiered a lot of television shows, especially during the 1990s. So, people who grew up during that time will have fond memories of shows like DuckTales, Tailspin, Gargoyles! That's a topic for another time. That show is awesome! And it's set in Scotland! Okay, focus. One of the shows to show up on the Disney afternoon lineup was Goof Troop. This was Goofy, one of the main mascots of Disney alongside Mickey, Donald, and Minnie, and so on and so forth. And
Goofy
is put in a mundane setting with his slapstick antics and all, alongside his son Max, growing up during the school and high school years. I will admit, I have not seen a single episode of Goof Troop, but I just thought I'd want to bring that history up because Goof Troop certainly establishes the settings, the characters, and especially the 90s attitudes.
There's still this very strong indication that Goof Troop was the first time the Disney afternoon was trying to be hip and with it.
What are you doing?
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Because of that, Max is not exactly the most interesting character. This is back when Disney was trying to be kill. Just look at this music video that premiered with the first episode and tell me you're not getting that vibe. Oh yeah, all the kids are gonna be doing the Goofy this week.
I don't know if that one has aged particularly well, but there you go, there's a period for its time. In case you don't realize, a Goofy movie is goofy in the fact that it features Goofy, and it is in itself a very goofy toned movie. It's a Goofy movie that features Goofy. Why is it goofy? Because it is overtly embracing the 90s attitude without holding anything back, which makes this film somewhat dated, but at the same time, it can be interpreted as quite charming. In a way, it's complicated, so might as well get straight to it. So this movie is probably a sequel to the entire Goof Troop series because Max is now growing up as a teenager, and as such, he's beginning to take a fancy for a particular friend from high school. In an attempt to impress her, he aspires to go to the music concert of a pop singer by the name of Powerline. Although, to add to the predicament, Max's father, Goofy, decides that the two of them should go on a fishing trip. Max fears that this will compromise his opportunity to get on stage with Powerline, if he can achieve that at all, but he cunningly decides to use the father-son fishing road trip as an opportunity to try to get to the Powerline music concert, all without his father knowing. Will Max get away with this? And will Max actually convince Goofy to get to the music concert at the right time? Will Goofy reconcile his relationship with his son Max? So, as you probably might have guessed, this movie has a lot of tropes you would expect from the 90s, as well as various other movies of this kind of caliber, animated or not. And yet, there's a lot of heart to this movie. I've asked one commenter about his thoughts on a Goofy movie, and the commenter replied that there's a lot of heart to the movie, and yeah, I agree. A Goofy movie has a lot of heart to it. And I think the heart is the strongest part of this movie, and it enables people to tolerate the often cringy 90s fads. It's interesting how you could say that Max is the main character, but at the same time, Goofy's name is in the movie, and obviously Goofy's the more recognizable character, so it'd probably be more fair to say that Goofy and Max are both equal in their role as the main protagonist of the movie. This is a movie about them reconciling their bond with each other. And the way it plays out, it's very well played out. In fact, at times, I'm quite surprised at how mature it got at certain points. There's a certain point in the movie where Pete, who's usually the default antagonist of the Mickey and Friends mascot lineup, enters in, and from what I've heard, Pete, his son, and especially his wife were really hilarious in the show, but for some reason the wife character isn't anywhere to be seen here, a missed opportunity. But even still, Pete enters in, and of course you'd expect Pete to be kind of hostile, but interestingly enough, Pete here isn't really an overt antagonist here. He's just a jerk, and a very interestingly written jerk. He's not overtly trying to get in the way of Goofy and Max. He's just a jerk in this movie. And there's this really fascinating conversation between Goofy and Pete as they relax in a jacuzzi bubble pool. And the conversation they have as fathers is surprisingly mature. And there's this one particular exchange which really proves that point. So Pete reveals to Goofy that after just talking about being a parent, having a good laugh, having good banter, Pete reveals to Goofy that he overheard Max talking to his son that Max has been secretly trying to guide Goofy to the Powerline concert. He reveals this to Goofy, and then Goofy says, "Well, my son loves me." And then Pete says, "Well, my son respects me." I thought, wow, you could get so much implications from just that one exchange. It's one of those moments where you don't necessarily agree with Pete's methods as a father, but you can understand him. And you can see the conflict. As much as Goofy does love his son Max, and he in return, you can sense that Goofy hasn't been a very authoritative figure, hence Max's rebellious nature. And whilst Pete can be a bit of a harsh jerk, at the very least, his son is obeying him. At least there's order. There's other conversations like that sprinkled throughout the movie, and it makes for a surprisingly mature experience for older audiences. Of course, given that this is a movie with Goofy in it, you get a lot of the usual slapstick that Goofy himself has become beloved and known for. Although, given the tone of this movie, perhaps others would have preferred some of Goofy's shenanigans that were more hysterical, like in his original slapstick shorts. With that said, there was this particularly edgy era of Goofy shorts, and there was a moment or two where they managed to sneak some of that in. Like, there's this one scene where Goofy unintentionally comes across a woman getting changed, and he has this look of embarrassment, yet uneasy flattery at the same time. It's so funny to look at, just him going, just that awkward look of, yeah, I find you pretty, but I really shouldn't be looking at you. Just little moments like that, just additional comedy. There's plenty of good comedy throughout, and there's plenty of fun songs to be had. I can't think of a single song that is bad. All of them progress the plot in a satisfying manner, and many people have fond memories of songs like After Today. I know someone who even made a fan-made contribution to that particular song. Comment below if you know what I'm talking about. There's the two songs by Powerline himself, which are actually quite catchy. is a sincere father-son song, and it was a fun open road kind of song. The songs are great. I can't really think of a single song that was particularly bad. And the dance choreography, even though it is this sort of goofy, cartoonish kind of style, is very well animated actually. And it helps that they actually had legit choreography to work off with to make it more authentic. In fact, speaking of the animation, even though this is a movie for a goof troupe, for some reason, they put in a lot of time and effort into the artistic quality of the animation. They didn't have to, but they went out of their way to make a dream sequence all the more pleasing to look at. They went out of their way to make certain movements of certain objects, certain characters much more dynamic. They didn't have to, but they went out of their way to do it anyway, and the film benefits from it. So, what do I make of a Goofy movie overall? Overall, I would give a Goofy movie a solid 9 out of 12. I wouldn't really call it a masterpiece, but it's got a lot of heart to it. And if it's got a lot of heart, then you know what? That's all I can ask for. I just wish the Disney Corporation would get that heart back for the vast majority of what they're working on. Comment down below on your thoughts on Goofy movie, and thank you so much for watching as always. Scott Stinker signing out.